Hi Adriana, I'm going to do my best to help you out with this assignment. It's been a while since I've done probability density functions, so I don't know if I've got all the lingo the same as what your prof would use, but I think I have the basic idea that might help you understand how to do the problem. So what we're going to start with is when we're looking at the probability density function, we're looking basically at sort of the normal curve. Whatever the same idea as a normal curve, I should say. Whatever the probability density function is, it has to have an area. By the time you've added up all the probabilities of your intervals, it has to have an area equal to 1, because all of the different probabilities have to be accounted for there. So in this case, if they're telling us that our interval is from 2 to 10, then that actually gives us 8 intervals or bars that we're looking at in terms of probability. And so the probability of each of those events occurring is 1 in 8. So an interval would be like between 2 and 3, 3 and 4, 4 and 5, and so on, okay? So there's a 1 in 8 chance of any of those things occurring. That's the probability of any of those events from this particular interval that they've specified between 2 and 10. So when it comes to finding the probability density function, is that what they're asking for here? Yes. Then what we have to do is we have to integrate this with respect to x over well, to start off with, we'll just use a and b as they've asked us to. Sorry, that's an a. Of 1 over 8 dx, okay? Now that, the integral of that is 1 over 8 x plus c if it's an indefinite integral. But it's not an indefinite integral for us because they've asked us for the interval of 2 to 10. So we can actually evaluate that and show that that equals 1, which is supposed to, right? Because that represents the area under the curve. So I think that that will answer 1A, question 1A from your questions there. And then when I read further, I'm looking at part B here. Now that we've got our function, this becomes a little bit easier. So in part B, the first thing they ask us for is probability of x being greater than 5. And so we would use our density formula that we just came up with. And we're really just plugging in a different interval because we want to evaluate now the interval 1 over 8x from 5 to 10 instead of 2 to 10. And I'll let you do that. You just sub in the 10 for x, sub in the 5 for x, and subtract the two answers, okay? The same thing for if x is going to be greater than 5 or less than 7, all they've done again is changed our interval. So we have 1 over 8x. This time we're evaluating over 5 to 7. So you would take 1 over 8x and sub in 7, and 1 over 8x and sub in 5, and subtract those two, and that will give you your probability. Okay? Now, for the next question, for part B, I'm still on part B, sorry, where they ask you for the quadratic. That question is exactly the same as what we're doing here. The problem is you first have to solve the quadratic. Sorry, that's a 35. Using the quadratic formula. So it's b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. That's an a there. So if you work all this out, what do we have here? 144 minus 140, so 12 plus or minus root 4 over 2a, which is 2. So we have 12 plus 2, 14 over 2, which is 7 over 2. And we have 12 minus 2, which is 10 over 2, which is 5. So that means that we're going to take the same, just let me move this up a wee bit. We're going to take the same function and we're just going to evaluate, sorry I forgot the x there, we're going to evaluate that over the interval 7 over 2 to 5, I think I said, and find out what we get there. So sub in 5, sub in 7 over 2, and subtract the two answers. So that answers question 1 for you, or at least gets you started there. For question 2, I think I need another screen, so I'm going to stop here so this doesn't get too long to upload, and I'm going to have to send you a second video for the second question, okay?